winter weather hard on you this year? Did you get a cold or the flu? Do you think that just because warmer weather is here that you're safe now? Well, think again. Not only can you get a surprise summer cold, springtime is the prime time for allergies. That's why we created Slime Be Gone. Unlike other cold and allergy medicines, Slime Be Gone gets to the root of the problem and fixes it. After being ingested, our proprietary formula goes to work finding where all of the mucus is hiding in your body. Then, in order to get the fastest healing time, Slime Be Gone forces all of that mucus out of every pore of your body. No place is safe. This rapid release of mucus from your entire body ensures that you get back to feeling like yourself again fast. While taking Slime Be Gone, make sure to drink at least 3 gallons of water every day. Average mucus drain time is between 3 to 5 days. If mucus drain lasts longer than 7 days, don't bother consulting a doctor because you're probably already dead. What's up guys, how are we doing today? Well, as you can probably tell, this audio does not match up. See, I recorded the video a few weeks ago, but I've been having some technical difficulties, so I decided just to record over it. What I said before doesn't really apply, doesn't really make much sense now, so just pretend I'm saying something really clever or really hilarious to lead into today's movie. So what better time to take a look at Slime City? Plus I wanted to make sure to do this one while it's still available for you to watch because you definitely should. Slime City came out on May 6, 1988 in New York and runs for 1 hour and 21 minutes. It was directed by Gregory Lamberson. He also directed Killer Rack. The story is that Alex moves into an odd apartment building where he learns that in the past it housed an occult leader and his followers until they all killed themselves. So this movie is ultra low budget and looks like a student film, but it does have surprisingly good special effects for what the rest of the movie looks like. Plus it's worth mentioning that there is a bit of gore in this movie, so if you're squeamish, you've been warned. I'm not generally into gore, but the way they do this in this movie is pretty damn entertaining. Also, I don't normally do this because I feel like I'm kind of pouring myself out a little bit, but if you're liking this, go ahead and subscribe. Also, hit that thumbs up, it really does help. It tells YouTube, hey, you know what? I think this guy's pretty cool, and I like what he's doing. And then I'm like, oh, thanks man, that's awesome, yeah. Anyways, if you're ready to get sticky, let's take a trip to Slime City. See what I did there? It rhymes, kind of like wordplay a little bit. No? Okay, we'll just get to the movie here. We start off just getting straight to the title card and music. And I'm always a fan of the neon green credits over a black background, and it especially works here because we're dealing with slime, and everyone kind of associates slime with being neon green. Then we see this apartment and meet Alex, played by Craig Sabin. He was also in I Was a Teenage Zombie, and his girlfriend Lori, played by Mary Huner. She was also in Ghoul School. Before they head in, Lizzie pops out for a second. She runs the place. Alex is looking to move off his college campus so he can be closer to Lori. They don't find any roaches, so he takes the place. And just to get this out of the way, I don't like Alex at all, so I'm actually kind of hoping bad things happen to him. Fingers crossed. Then we meet his now former roommate, Jerry, played by TJ Merrick. Jerry thinks he knows the reason Alex moved out.
Lime. I should have known you were only doing this to bag as many babes as possible.
Then we meet his next door neighbor, Nicole, or Nikki, and she's very friendly.
Just knock if you ever need anything. My door is always open.
Next, we see that Alex is an artist as he sketches Lori, and we see that they have a great relationship, except for...
We don't have time for that.
You never do.
Classic story, right? We've all been there. Blue Ball City. Alternate title for the movie. Then he gives her a spare key. Oh man, rookie mistake, Alex. On their way out, they run into Roman, or Roman as some of them call him, which is just pretentious. And we find out that he's a poet. Or at least he thinks he is.
Nobody takes an artist's work seriously anymore until he's been planted 6 feet under, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure 6 feet under is universal code for dead, right? Like, we all know what that means. Then we put my penis in her vagina, if you know what I mean. Anyways, when Alex comes back home, he runs into Nicole and some dude. Later, he hears them going at it a little too hard. The next day, as Roman is doing his best Oscar the Grouch, he invites Alex over for dinner. Then we get treated to a riveting story by Jerry.
Too loud!
I said, oh, that's it, huh? Well, I'm gonna blow my nose anyway I damn well please, and if you don't like it, you
Lori stops by to see Alex at work, and he tries to win her over again.
Well, how about passing by my place a little later on tonight?
But she's still not having it, and he gets a little more frustrated.
Try to drop me a postcard when you got some time, okay?
Like I said, Blue Ball City. At dinner later, we see that Roman made some colored goop that he claims is...
Himalayan yogurt.
And they wash it down with some mystery liquor.
What's in it? Nobody knows. Lizzie's old man was into alchemy.
And that's a very casual way to throw that out there. It's no big deal. It was made by somebody who was into alchemy. I'm not sure it's totally safe to drink, but let's just do it anyways. So Alex drinks it, probably didn't want to be rude. When he goes back to his apartment, he can't find his key, but Nicole finds them and invites him inside. And her place isn't exactly what I'd call homey, but at least she did make it her own, so good for her. Well, they proceed to bang, but it's not that great to watch. But she does call him a different name.
Zachary! Zachary!
Then we get something like out of an art house film, you know? I couldn't tell you why they did this other than to maybe tell us that it isn't really happening or it's like a dream type of sequence. Other than that, it's just weird. When Alex wakes up the next morning, we see they must have had a wild night. It's been a while since I've seen someone coated in that much Vaseline. Freshman year. But you could tell with how Nicole acted that she was probably into some kinky shit. Alex goes for a stroll and we see he's deteriorating pretty fast. And again, it's pretty good makeup. He comes across this bum and goes into a rage and attacks him with a pipe, and then he goes back to normal. He runs back home and Roman shows up to give him some leftovers, and Alex asks him,
Has that wine ever made you hallucinate or do anything strange?
Sure. All the time.
He also asks him about Lizzie's father.
And were you serious when you said Lizzie's father was an alchemist?
You bet.
He elaborates.
He killed himself in the cellar and took his followers with him.
Then Lori calls and invites him to dinner with her parents. And despite feeling sick and almost turning into a literal slime ball, he decides to eat some more goop. And he really goes to town on it too. Man, put that guy in a street corner, make some money off of him. He lets himself into Nicole's apartment, but notice which way the door opens. When we saw her place before, the door opened this way. So obviously they shot this in a different unit. Plus there's none of the weird shit on the door. You know, it's those little things that can get me. Either way, he helps himself to some of her weird liquor. The next day, after talking to her friend, Lori runs into this lady. But she doesn't make herself sound very credible.
What are you talking about?
I'll tell you. For $1.
But she does give her her card and some advice.
Come to my parlor and we'll talk. $1 is a small price to pay. Or so.
Lizzie takes Alex to the basement and shows him her stockpile of what's left of what her father made. Later at dinner, Alex meets Lori's parents for the first time.
Have you been scouting any agencies yet? I don't want to work for an agency.
And then out of nowhere, she says,
I've decided to move in with Alex. We're gonna live together.
but Alex tells her it's not a good time, you know, which really is just a nicer way of saying,
The fuck you are.
As he continues to eat, this happens, so he leaves. And he shows up back at his place with a hooker. And he reminds me of someone here, but I'm gonna wait to say who until we get a better shot. They go back to the bedroom, and imagine being this chick, where it's not that big of a deal to sleep someone dressed like that. Plus,
I'm sure I've seen worse.
now I really can't imagine she has, but man, the life of a hooker is tough. He does look truly awful though. And after she unwraps him, she turns on the light and we get some great acting.
You crazy bastard!
Ah, you son of a bitch, you killed me. As he gets rid of the body, he sees he's not the only one killing people. He goes back to the second set they used for Nicole's place. Again, notice the door. At least this time they put the weird shit back on the door frame. Here you can also see that they are gradually having his hair turn more and more gray as the film goes on. Anyways, he snoops around and finds this picture. Nicole shows up and we find out who she is.
Who was she?
Previous possessor of this body.
And we find out why.
She went away. Because there was only room enough for one of us.
Also turns out that she's one of the cult followers alive again.
You're one of the people who committed suicide in the cellar, aren't you?
Yes.
And it's worth mentioning here that apparently the same actress who plays Lori is playing Nikki, at least according to IMDb. At least for me, I didn't really see that. Like, I get it that they disguised her pretty good, but I can't see it. I mean, now that I know, a very, very little bit, but with the big wig and the different dress, I got nothing here. I thought it was someone completely different. We also find out when the leader, Zachary, will return.
When you've gone away.
God almighty.
We also get a great line when we find out why he must kill people.
The slime must be appeased.
Oh, that slime. Oh, you want some more great acting? Alright, well, here's a little more.
You whore!
So the hair turning gray is supposed to show that Zachary is slowly taking over Alex, I guess. Laurie goes to see the psychic, and we find out a couple of things.
You're still a virgin. This has caused considerable anxiety between you and your suitor.
And as far as Alex is concerned,
Alex is beyond salvation. His corruption is absolute.
amen, sister. Screw that guy. Laurie lets herself in Alex's apartment. I mean, she does have a key after all. And as she's snooping around, she finds his box of shame. That's definitely not what's in mine. I mean, I don't think it's just me. It's usually porn, right? Like, we keep porn in our box of shame. Of course, Alex shows up and isn't happy, and he jumps it way up.
Bitch! Don't lie to me!
Okay, hey buddy, if you don't want your girlfriend popping in, then don't give her a key. Like I said, man, that was a rookie mistake. So they break up, and Alex goes to talk to Lizzie to get some more clarification.
You're the only one in this building who really is who you're supposed to be, aren't you?
Yeah?
This goes on for a while, but we do find out why her dad and his followers killed themselves.
They conquered all that life had to offer.
And Alex decides that he's going to not eat or drink any more of the weird stuff. As he's leaving, Detective Irish O'Bannon has some questions for him. Well, that's a little on the nose. He asks him about the missing hooker and says someone saw someone who mostly fits his description on the night she went missing. Yeah, I can't imagine there's a lot of guys walking around wrapped up in bandages. But, I mean, it is New York, so maybe there's like 15 of them. Who knows? Alex also doesn't seem too concerned.
What's the big deal about one missing whore?
Back inside, Nicole tries to go see Alex, but he's hiding from her. But we do get this very odd interpretive dance sequence. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's just very weird. The next day, Alex is making a delivery for his job when he starts to turn to slime again, so he takes off. As he's walking, these guys decide to rob him, and now's a good time to say who he reminds me of. So he looks like a poor man's Darkman, or like a store brand, great value Darkman. Granted, this movie did come out before that one. I still stand by it. He's a great value Darkman. And who's gonna want to be that close to someone who looks like that? I mean, if it's me, I'm thinking he's contagious. And this is one of the few times I actually like Alex.
I need some money.
So get a job.
So get a job, bastard. Channeled his inner Clint Eastwood there. But this guy doesn't, so he stabs him, and this happens. And I love how the guy on the right is trying not to laugh when saying his line.
Yo, let's get the fuck out of here.
But oddly, Alex doesn't actually kill the guy, which is weird because the dude was trying to kill him, and the hooker did nothing but try to pleasure him. Is that weird? Good. He runs back home, and as he's checking himself out, Jerry shows up because he's worried about Alex. And Alex is nice as ever.
You prick.
Alex also shares this.
My God, will you look at what's happening to you?
I like what's happening to me.
Well, good then. Just die already, Alex. I don't care. As Jerry tries to leave, Alex helps him, but then decides to end their friendship permanently. Then he goes and bangs Nicole. Nothing like a murder bang, right? For whatever reason, Laurie apologizes to Alex, and they decide to make up at his place later. Detective Irish visits Laurie, but not much to see here, so moving on. Nicole tells Alex, who is full on gray now, that she thinks Laurie is going to ruin everything. He tells her not to worry. Laurie shows up, and Nicole creeps on her until making a very awkward exit. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna go inside. Laurie finally gives up her V-card, and when Alex goes to shower, she notices that he overshot. So one of the only other ways they could have made this more sexual is if she found a slime-covered sock. Am I right? She snoops around again and gets nervous, but Alex comes out and calms her down.
Alex, you're hurting me.
No. I'm killing you.
So he attacks her and we get about 6.5 minutes of pure greatness. And I actually mean that. Okay, you'll see here. He also goes next level on guilting her for his blue balls.
You did this to me. You turned me into what I am, you little cock tease.
We also see Zachary has taken over.
Stop calling me Alex! I'm Zachary!
Laurie guts him, but just give him a minute, he'll be fine. Just gotta put these back in here. Don't go anywhere. So this would also be the perfect time to run, right? Don't worry, she doesn't. He gets that all sorted out just to get stabbed. Then Laurie jumps it up a notch and Alex says,
Stop the pain.
I can't!
Do it for God's sake!
So she helps him out of that jam. For a minute anyways. Then his body gets back in the mix and it's really just a gore show for the rest of it. But the effects are really good. I mean, like I said, especially for the rest of the film, these are great effects. This actually makes the rest of the movie worth it. After she stabs him in the head, his brain makes a break for it, and this is so over the top that it's awesome. Hey, do you think that's where the expression "take a brain break" came from? I'm betting it is. Laurie finally ends it by dicing up the brain. Detective Irish finds out that Alex just took off, well, at least according to the other residents. Then he decides that he wants to rent the apartment, and the movie ends. And now for some fun facts. There is a sequel to this movie called Slime City Massacre. Depending on your age, you might remember fondly that Nickelodeon had a lot of shows involving people getting slimed. Double Dare, Wild and Crazy Kids, and Figure It Out, just to name a few. All great shows, by the way. Plus the slimings that happened at the Kids' Choice Awards. But before that, we were introduced to the slime by a show called You Can't Do That on Television. If you've seen it, you might remember the kids popping in and out of the lockers and talking to each other. I'll put a link in the description for nostalgia. This was filmed in New York City, New York. Currently, you can get a studio on East 83rd Street there for $3,400 a month. That's a steal. There was a movie made in 1963 called The Slime People, with keeping the slime theme. I mean, it has nothing to do with this movie, but slime's in the title. What do you want from me? There are literally no facts on IMDb for this movie. I'm just trying to keep you entertained. So, is it any good?
God, yes.
Absolutely! So obviously you're not going to watch this for the acting or the plot, really. No, the only reason to watch this are the above grade special effects. I mean, they are way out of this movie's league. Of course they are gory, but they're also fantastic. If you haven't seen this movie, I mean, it's definitely something to check out, at least once. There's a link in the description where you can check it out for free, at least at the time I filmed this. I suggest you click on it. Also make sure to check out the last review I did on Buried Alive. Alright, cool. Check you later. Oh, by the way, I had a pretty bad cold a few weeks ago, and this is exactly what I look like. Like a friggin' faucet, man.